Hey, it's Scotty. So, after that really upsetting video the other day, I wanted to share my experience at the rescue yesterday. So, as many of you know, I've been a long time volunteer at the Los Angeles Guinea Pig Rescue, and I facilitate adoptions there. And yesterday, there actually weren't any adoptions. Yesterday was the day before the 4th of July holiday, and so lots of people were dropping off their piggies for boarding. And on days when I don't have any adoptions, I just do all the things that need to be done. I just try to help out the employees and the other volunteers and just fill in the gaps and just try to take the pressure off. And when I got there, there was, in fact, every parking spot was taken along the side of the. There's a dirt road that is along the property, and that's where people park to do health checks and to pick up and drop off boarders and for adoptions. And every single parking spot through along the whole length of the property was filled. I was able to park inside where there's some parking spots for volunteers and employees, and so I parked there, and I went up, and there was just a long line of border drop-offs and of people that were visiting for to get baths and health checks and that kind of thing. So I just jumped right in, and I was helping people who were dropping off their piggies for the holiday, and I spent quite a while intaking, helping get all the piggies situated. We have these big baskets, big deep laundry baskets where we put the piggies in while they're being taken in. They get health checks. Their information is filled out on a like a card that hangs with them on the cage that they're going to be in when they're boarding with us. So, and we do sort of a rudimentary intake health check to make sure that they're okay, to spot anything, because oftentimes piggies will come in and they may be showing some symptoms of illness, and if their families are going to be gone for a long time, that's just something we're going to need to take care of. We're going to need to treat them or at least monitor their medical situation. So I was doing health checks, I was setting everybody up, and then I ended up taking a lot of piggies back to be set up for in their spots, in their boarding pens, their boarding cages. And so I spent most of the day running back and forth from the front to the back and setting up cages, and it was really satisfying and fun to do all that. I also helped with some of the piggies that were here for bathing. Longtime volunteer Claire, was doing baths, and so I was meeting the people that were scheduled for baths and talking with them about their piggies and doing some of the health checks, and it was my calm demeanor. The way I'm explaining this doesn't really portray how busy it was. And I've always thought that, I mean, it would have been easy to lose your mind with the fast pace. At one point in the middle of the afternoon, there was like 4 or 5 border drop-offs within 5 minutes, and so people were hanging around and waiting, and usually, and in this case, everybody who came to drop off their piggies, they understood, especially that on the day before holiday that there was just a lot of stuff going on there. And so I thank people for their patience. And it's really fun to get to know people and get to know their piggies. And people seem to be very appreciative of the rescue as a resource. And so it just really was a pleasure. It's also helps us, the boarding and the baths help us with much needed fundraising, which is just a never-ending struggle. So I really had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of I feel a lot of success. And at the end of the day, I was like, wow, I felt like I had made a difference, because there was just so much going on. And we always get through it, but to help the regular staff, it was just very satisfying. I don't know if we saved lives, because there wasn't any emergency intakes really. There was one situation where somebody brought a piggy in a small carrier, and they were overheating. And Saskia very quickly, this is a trick that maybe you don't know. If your piggy is overheating, and it was almost 100 degrees at the ranch yesterday, and people bring their piggies in small carriers that don't have good airflow, and they can overheat easily, even just in a few minutes, even with the AC running, which the AC was running. But Saskia put some rubbing alcohol on the piggy's back and on the ears, and what happens is the cold rubbing alcohol and rubbing alcohol in general, it evaporates. And that's like the principle of how sweat works. But the rubbing alcohol evaporates fast, and so it's able to pull a lot of the heat off of a body really quickly. We also gave this piggy, which was a skinny pig, incidentally. So thinking, skinny pigs always need to be kept warm. Well, not on a hot day. And because their metabolisms run so high and so hot, this piggy was just overheating. We gave him some cold veggies, and we put him by the cooler and just made sure that the piggy was doing fine. But other than that, like I said, we weren't really saving lives, but I feel like getting all those piggies in for boarding smoothly and helping the regular staff to do it without losing their mind, we are saving lives, because we're keeping the rescue going. We're earning those much needed funds, which allow us to keep going and take in the animals, the piggies that are in the most danger and in the most need of help. But it was fun. It was really satisfying to do it. And of course, I wish that, we had a full day of adoptions, but man, if we would have, I don't know how we would have gotten all that stuff done. And it worries me that, it seems like every day in the summer, somebody brings their piggy and the piggy is overheating, if not having heat stroke, and we see it all the time. So on a day when there are no adoptions, I'm somewhat relieved, because that reduces the chances of someone bringing a pig and not realizing that they need to keep them cool. Of course, we always recommend, and we send out a message: freeze a water bottle, put it in a sock, and put it in the carrier. And I, of course, have numerous videos where I talk about my favorite carriers are a pet store cage, and you can put a towel over it. You can put pine shavings or fleece. We're sort of the opinion at the rescue that pine shavings instead of fleece will actually keep your piggy cooler. I tend to like fleece in general, but on a hot day, the pine shavings has a slightly better airflow, and Saskia has said many times that piggies on pine shavings, when it's clean, of course, you wouldn't want to let that pine shavings get nasty for days and days and days in a carrier. But if you're just using that carrier, pet store cage, like a big cage, obviously too small for a pig to live in, but those crappy pet store cages make excellent carriers, and you can hook a water bottle when you get to that destination. And I've got an entire video about how to travel with guinea pigs in the car. In fact, I'll put that right here, because I think there are many strategies and techniques that people just sort of don't think about as common sense. But I think there are some little tips and tricks that can keep your piggies much more comfortable. But I don't know. When I thought of making this video about sharing what I felt like was my success, I don't know how I thought it was going to come out, and I don't know if it really telegraphs the success that I feel from yesterday. Because when I say, okay, I set up piggies' cages, we had skinny pigs that we wanted to keep up in the front, whereas some of the boarders are in the back in the barn. And so that really meant setting up all these cages, making, dozens of cages, making sure that the piggies had a big pile of hay, that they had a clean, fresh water bottle, the food bowl, and we're talking about moving piggies here and there, and so making sure, obviously, that the piggies get into their boarder cages safely, and that the information about which piggy is which, makes it to the cage. I mean, this is all stuff, of course, you would do it, but I was breaking down cages, cleaning them in the front, because we wanted to keep our skinny pigs that were boarding in the front. So I had to relocate some piggies from the front to the back, and so that meant, setting up new cages and cleaning the cages out and setting them up for the skinny piggies, and filling water bottles and filling food bowls and just all of this stuff. So I don't know, maybe it doesn't seem like a lot, but each one of those piggies is our guest, is somebody's, sweetheart pig. And so I really care about them, and I want to make sure that they, they're little living, breathing, feeling, experiencing little people, little piggy people, and to make sure that they're not scared, that they're comfortable, that they're feeling safe. That's very important. And with the volume of piggies that were coming in and some going out, to make sure that they all felt safe and secure and were situated and had everything that they needed, it was just really sweet and really satisfying. And of course, I pretty much kiss I'm picking them up from the basket and putting them in, and I kiss them on the ear, and I give them a little scratch, and it just was really fun to, and satisfying and sweet to take care of all these piggies. When I'm doing adoptions all day, I'm getting to know just a few piggies and finding a match for them, which is also supremely satisfying when you have a lonely pig, a pig that maybe has never been with another piggy before, or a piggy that maybe lost their cage mate, and finding, a new friend. That is extremely rewarding and sweet, and not without its own specific challenges. But so this was like a completely different experience at the rescue, but it was really fun, and to be able to help out the regular employees was very satisfying. And it just got me thinking, man, I could not do it full time. here I'm basically doing the same thing on a smaller scale, but I don't have to deal with people constantly coming in and out, and it's not exactly the same thing. But it was awesome, and so going back to that difficult video, the disturbing video from the other day. People send such horrible and heartbreaking messages to the rescues, and what shelter staff often have to deal with is just difficult and heartbreaking. And so these people deserve our admiration, our respect, and our gratitude, because they make such a difference to animals and to the people that are in such difficult situations. And it's extremely hard work, physically as well as emotionally. And that's always been my thing. Many people, they either say, why don't you start a rescue? Why don't you open a rescue? It's like, there's plenty of rescues that are struggling right now that just need somebody that can help relieve the pressure. And so volunteering with rescues that already exist, that's how I feel I can do the most good. Not to mention sharing what I've learned then with you and with everybody out there. And maybe it's also because I don't have the fortitude to do it. But I have the strength to come in and help. But I don't have the strength to do it on my own. We all can find a way and a place where we can do the most good. And I'm grateful that you've continued to allow me to be able to do that. So thank you to you channel members, and to the patrons, and to anybody who's subscribed or who hasn't but hits that like button. Or it is a privilege to be able to do this, and so I can't believe I've rambled for so long. Hopefully this was that you can see how heartfelt and how filled with joy I am to be able to do this. So thank you guys so much. Please be safe out there this holiday weekend. And until next time, thanks for watching.